What's up, everyone? Todd Robinson here. I wanted to do a quick video to show you some of the questions that we're going to ask as we're forming your syndication, and as a mentor, what kind of information I want to help you run through as you start formulating your syndication. And so the document I have here on the screen is called our deal term questionnaire. This is actually through my law firm, and this is the questionnaire that we'll go through when you're starting your syndication. So I think it's important for you guys to see this so that you can start thinking about, as you're getting into multifamily or potentially other types of deals, what information you need to understand as you want to get into syndicated real estate. So capital raising details, you're going to raise capital. What's the maximum amount you need, right? What's the minimum amount you need to close the deal? The maximum amount, that's going to be what you need to not only close the deal, but pay your acquisition fees, pay your reserves, and pay all your closing costs. The minimum amount, that's usually just to get the deal closed, cover closing costs. A lot of times, if deals are stretched thin and you can't raise enough to cover your acquisition fee, you may not include that in your capital raising. The sponsor will contribute that acquisition fee at closing. The minimum investment amount can be whatever the sponsor wants it to be. Typically, we like to say $50,000, but just in your mind, you want to be thinking, I don't want to be dealing with 100 or 200 investors. That's a lot of asset management. That's going to require a lot of time. So the higher the dollar amount of the investor, the easier it is. And so you can actually incentivize your investors to contribute more money to your deal. We're obviously going to need the name of the asset. That's just for our PPM purposes. The holding company information. We will recommend Wyoming or Nevada. But again, this is going to be a question that you're going to need to ask your lender ahead of time. Hey, does the lender require a specific state of formation? Depending on the type of loan product it is, it may require Delaware, for instance. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. Will the company issue multiple classes of shares? Now, you can actually incentivize your investors to contribute more capital. For instance, we've had a lot of deals where the sponsors will say, hey, if you invest $500,000 or more, I'll give you a better preferred return and a better split of the profits. And this is totally fine, totally legal. You're just incentivizing investors to contribute more money. So it's a great way to cut down on your investors and cut down on your asset management responsibilities. So we'll ask for that information in this particular bucket here. What are the cash distributions and waterfall promotes? This is going to be important for you to understand, and for us to understand, me specifically as your mentor or as your legal counsel, and you're going to need to run through a financial model. If you need a financial model, let me know. I've got hundreds of them in our database. What are the fees to the manager, right? So are there asset management fees? Are there disposition fees, acquisition fees? Are fees paid to managers? How is the property going to be managed? We obviously need the anticipated closing date and the management entity. So as we all know, real estate is a team sport. This is where we get the information for our GP. And with that information, we're going to populate the GP operating agreement. We're going to need to know the splits between the GP members. That's going to be a big question for us. Who's ultimately going to be signing for the entity chain? We're going to need to know the signature, the structure of the signature block for the loan documents. Usually there's one person kind of running the show. That person will be the authorized signatory, usually the managing member of the manager. Who's going to be the members? And are we going to hire a property manager? I assume we are. We're going to need to know who that property manager is. It's going to be self-managed, or is it going to be what we call third property management? The big thing, we're going to need your bio. Okay, your bio is going to help us populate the private placement memorandum. What is the business plan for the transaction? You have to think through these things. What is this? What kind of deal is this? Is this a value add play? Are you going to buy it, fix it, sell it? Is it a long-term hold? Is it a BRRRR method? Right? You're going to need to come to us with this information, and you're going to need to make sure you have your own pitch deck ready. The purchase price, sale agreement, type of debt, who's the lender, LTC, all these things we're going to need to know this as we get through your syndication. And so, for those that are interested in syndication, this is a great source. And if you're interested in learning more about syndication, follow my page and give me a direct message, and I'll be happy to run through any of this with you at any time.